The oracle's words stand as a warning, a prophecy. Sparta will fall. All of Greece will fall.
The film opens with the Spartan queen Gorgo narrating the tale. She begins with King Darius leading a massive Persian army into Greece during the Battle of Marathon. The Athenian general, Themistocles, leads his men against the invading force at the shores. The Greeks, swift and ruthless, cut down the Persians, clearing a path for Themistocles to target Darius, who watches the battle from his ship.
An Athenian would let the good King Darius decide. A moment appeared.
Themistocles raises his bow and releases an arrow just as Darius's son, Xerxes, arrives. Too late to save his father. The arrow strikes Darius, and Xerxes holds his dying father while locking eyes with Themistocles. Themistocles walks away, with the narration revealing that he regretted sparing Xerxes. Darius is returned to Persia to die. As he lies on his deathbed, he's joined by Artemisia, his ruthless naval commander, said to be as brilliant as she is merciless. She holds his hand as he urges Xerxes to avoid conflict with the Greeks, claiming only gods could defeat them. But Artemisia ends his suffering by pulling out the arrow. For days, Xerxes mourns. On the 8th day, Artemisia tells him his father's words were a challenge. If only gods can defeat the Greeks, then he must become one. Xerxes is sent into the desert, shackled until he reaches a mysterious cave. Inside, he steps into a glowing pool, driven by vengeance. He emerges transformed, golden-skinned, red-eyed, bald, and towering. Meanwhile, Artemisia eliminates everyone loyal to the man Xerxes once was. When he returns to Persia, Artemisia stands beside him as he declares to the people, "For glory's sake, war." While Xerxes leads the land forces through Thermopylae, Artemisia prepares her navy for war. In Athens, Themistocles addresses the council with a naval strategy to resist the invasion. Though eager to defeat the Persians, the council is hesitant to risk lives. Themistocles insists freedom is worth the sacrifice and demands the best ships. He also vows to seek aid from Sparta.
And what of Sparta? The great Spartans.
Themistocles travels to Sparta. Walking in on a brutal training session, he meets Delios, who informs him that King Leonidas has already marched out with his men and that the Persian envoy has already been dealt with. The queen later speaks with Themistocles, explaining that the Spartans do not share his vision of a united Greece. On the Persian flagship, a prisoner mocks Artemisia's Greek heritage, accusing her guards of serving a traitor. She declares her loyalty to Persia and decapitates him without hesitation. A new figure reveals himself, Cilius, an Athenian spy. After slaying several Persians, he escapes by diving into the sea under a hail of arrows. Cilius returns to camp with his son Callisto and reports to Themistocles and his lieutenant Escalation, revealing Artemisia leads the Persian navy. Through a flashback, we learn her origin. As a child, Artemisia witnessed the slaughter of her family and was then enslaved and brutalized for years before being left to die. A Persian emissary rescued her and trained her. She later proved herself by delivering the severed heads of Darius's enemies, earning her position as his naval commander. Despite her fearsome reputation, Themistocles prepares for battle. Escalation warns their fleet is vastly outnumbered. "Such is the plan," Themistocles replies. The Greeks sail to the Aegean Sea to confront Artemisia's fleet. Her general, Artaphernes, informs her that another general, Bandari, will lead the attack. Themistocles rallies his troops, reminding them to fight for each other.
Make strong today. You fight for your brothers. Fight for your families. Most of all, you fight for Greece.
The Athenians charge, ramming their ships into the Persian line. A bloody battle ensues. Silius and Callisto fight side by side. Displeased, Artemisia orders Bandari chained and thrown into the sea, not for the loss, but for disappointing her. She begins to contemplate needing an equal at her side. The next day, the Greeks lure the Persians into a narrow crevice, causing their lead ship to jam and others to crash behind. From above, the Athenians descend, slaughtering the trapped Persians. General Kashani is killed by Themistocles. Silius sees Callisto join the fight, clearly fearing for his son's safety. Artemisia watches, impressed by her rival's tactics. Later, Artaphernes invites Themistocles onto Artemisia's ship. She admires his skill and questions whether he has anyone waiting for him in Athens. He says he has no time for family. Artemisia offers him power and peace by joining her. Instead, they engage in violent, passionate sex. When he rejects her again, she hisses that he is no god, just a man. He returns to camp and warns his men that she's ready to unleash hell. The next day, Persian ships spill tar into the sea, followed by suicide swimmers with explosives. The Greeks fight them off, but flaming arrows ignite the tar. Artemisia strikes Silius with multiple arrows, wounding him as Callisto watches in horror. A Persian ignites himself by accident, causing an explosion that destroys both Greek and Persian ships. Artemisia fires another flaming arrow, triggering an explosion on Themistocles' ship. He's thrown into the sea, surrounded by the dead. As he sinks, he sees serpentine creatures devouring bodies, until one lunges at him. He awakens to find Callisto pulling him from the water. Realizing the vision was symbolic, Themistocles visits the dying Silius. The two share final words before Silius passes. When Callisto asks what his father said, Themistocles tells him he'll reveal it when the time is right. On land, Xerxes has slaughtered Leonidas and the 300. Vultures pick at their remains. Themistocles learns of the defeat from a messenger and returns to Sparta to confront Ephialtes, the hunchback traitor. Ephialtes, guilt-ridden, does not flinch as Themistocles lowers his blade, choosing to spare him. He orders him to deliver a message to Xerxes. Greece will never surrender. Back in Sparta, Themistocles seeks an audience with the queen. Dilios, now half-blind, warns him not to expect warmth. The queen is still grieving Leonidas. She refuses to send more warriors into a losing war. Themistocles gives her Leonidas's sword and the symbol of legacy. She is moved to tears. Xerxes invades Athens, parading Leonidas's severed head and setting the city ablaze. He declares Themistocles a coward. When Ephialtes reports the Greeks are fighting back at sea, Xerxes and Artemisia are shocked to learn Themistocles' lives. Artemisia swears she'll finish him. Themistocles, recognizing his soldiers are worn, gives them a choice. Leave now to preserve their freedom or stay and fight for it. Let it be shown that we chose to die on our feet rather than live on our knees. The men rally behind him. In the climactic sea battle, the small Greek force faces the Persian fleet. Themistocles tells Callisto that his father's last words were, "You've earned your place at the table." The battle erupts. Greek ships crash into Persian vessels. Artemisia, wielding twin swords, charges into combat herself. Themistocles rides through the chaos on horseback to reach her ship. He reminds her of her earlier offer. His answer is still no. They duel fiercely, exchanging deadly blows. She taunts him mid-fight, but he fights with unwavering focus. Blades lock at each other's throats. Suddenly, reinforcements arrive, Spartans led by the queen herself, whose narration has guided the tale. Allied armies from other Greek states join the assault. Themistocles urges Artemisia to surrender. She refuses, lunges forward, and he drives his sword into her abdomen. As Artemisia collapses, she watches her navy overwhelmed. From the cliffs, Xerxes turns away, abandoning her. she dies as the queen and Dilios arrive beside Themistocles on her ship. The film ends with Spartans and Athenians united, launching a final attack to drive the Persians from Greece once and for all.